I'm Kerry Fink, and on behalf of Joe Steckler, our president and founder, Kim Bernard, our education specialist, and the entire Helping Seniors team, welcome to Helping Seniors Updates. Yay, we have reached Friday. It's the 22nd of January, and that means it's time for the art of healthy living. And so excited that we have the opportunity to once again talk with Vicki Moore with CarePlus and Humana. How are you today, Vicki?
I'm doing great, Carrie. So good to be here as usual. Thanks for
Yeah,
having me.
these are such good episodes that we get the privilege of working through on these things together. I mean, we have covered so many interesting topics. I mean, folks, if you haven't checked these out, encourage you to check the Art of Healthy Living series out. You can find these on Helping Seniors website. Which is helping seniors of Brevard.org. You can find these by subscribing to our YouTube channel, also Helping Seniors of Brevard. You can actually find these as well on our Facebook page, Helping Seniors of Brevard. So as long as you remember Helping Seniors of Brevard, you're pretty much in close proximity to some good advice and things that will help along the way. And Vicki, we've covered some amazing topics. I mean, we've had information about diet. We've had about how to talk to your doctor. We've had sessions about Medicare, things to know. We've had sessions about Social Security benefits. All these are available in their archives. So you can go back and check those out. But it's just been an incredible amount of topics, Vicki, that we've been able to cover.
I agree, Carrie. I think some really great topics that can be so helpful. Yeah, the Medicare and the Social Security and all of the different healthy eating and things like that. Really, really great topics. I agree.
And I was thinking as we were talking about this, because you're out in the community, you're a person that spends your time helping people get organized with the best kind of Medicare plan that is, I guess I would say, suited for where they are in terms of medical history, the things that they're going to need help with, maybe prescriptions. And you really have a good understanding of how all that works. And so as you sit down with these people, then you're getting some feedback as to what topics are going to be important for us to cover. And I think you've got a great one for us today.
I do. I do. It's called Rate Your Plate. So we're going to learn about, and we've talked a little bit or a lot about different foods, but it's always good to have reminders
Yeah.
and, um, relevant information on the best, healthy living and how to stay as, be your best and as healthy as you can be as we, especially as we age. So,
Well, great. Let's dive right in. Rate your plate.
just some beginning information, just for all of you out there. I am Vicki Moore. I am a licensed sales agent with Humana and CarePlus, and this presentation was developed by Humana in consultation with the clinical staff. If you have any questions today, medical questions, of course, always talk to your provider. But if there's anything that I can help with, feel free to reach out to me at any time. And you can reach me always at 321-272-0218 or 502-777-6277, both cell phone numbers that you can reach me at. And then Carrie, I'll go ahead and let you just provide your information as well. If you wanted to do like the handout that goes along with this presentation, those are always available as well at your office, and let you do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, you said it exactly right. If you're watching this and you want a easy point of reference, maybe you want to get a copy of the presentation you see, or maybe one of the ones that you might go back and pick up on, you can always reach our education specialist, Kim Bernard, at our Helping Seniors help. I call it our help desk, but we call it the Senior Information Helpline. The number for that is area code 321-473-7770. 321-473-7770. And we'll be happy to get you connected to any resource that will be helpful to you in your situation. And Vicki, you're a great resource on that front, and excited to see what we have to learn today.
Okay, well, let's get started. All right, so our agenda today, we're going to talk about, the basics of healthy eating, how to build a five-star plate, tips for making good choices, and how to rate your plate. So we know that nutrition is important, but it seems that we get different information on what to eat and how much to eat every time we turn around. So just like a house needs a good foundation, we need a good foundation when it comes to learning about nutrition. So we're going to start with the basics of nutrition. Next, we're going to pull some of that knowledge into practice by building our plates. Our plates will be of star quality, 5 stars, that is. So when it comes to nutrition, quality is important, but so is quantity. So we're going to dive into portion sizes. And lastly, we'll give you some tips to keep those healthy eating techniques sharp and long lasting. So here we go. So a healthy plate. Let's start by checking your memory. I'd like for you to think about the last meal that you ate. Maybe it was your breakfast this morning, or maybe it was your dinner last night. Next, I want you to think about what your plate looked like before you started eating. What do you think of when you reflect back on that plate? Was anything missing? Was there too much of anything? Was the plate missing a food group? Did you find that this was another plate missing that some food group again? Um, how did you feel about your after you finished the plate? On this slide, you're going to see a picture of the United States Department of Agriculture, My Plate. How many of you are familiar with this? So you can see, you've got your fruits, your grains, your vegetables, your protein, and your dairy. My Plate was released by the USDA in 2011 as a food to replace the old food pyramid. I think we all, like some of us, at least growing up, like probably you're my age, Carrie, definitely remember that food pyramid. You may have been, a lot of you are probably familiar with. The plate serves as a visual image of what you should eat at a meal by illustrating the 5 food groups that make up a healthy meal. So half of the plate is for fruits and vegetables. About 1/4 of the plate is for your grains, preferably whole grains, and about 1/4 of the plate is for lean protein. On the side is a serving of dairy. So now that description is to give you, an overview. The specific amounts a person needs on a daily basis depends on whether you are male or female. It's going to depend on your age and then your activity level. So we're going to get into details on each of the groups on My Plate. And with each group, we'll cover their benefits, some things to know about the food group, and some tips to help you incorporate the food into your diet. The information we'll cover for each of the food groups comes from the USDA's My Plate website, which is, if you want to check it out, www.choosemyplate.gov. So we're going to start with the fruits. All right. So fruits, along with vegetables, receive a lot of positive attention. But what's all the fuss about? Does an apple a day really keep the doctor away? The answer is kind of. In fact, fruits have quite a few benefits. One of those benefits is that they are naturally low in fat, sodium, and calories. Additionally, they are cholesterol free. It isn't easy to find a food that has all of these attributes and is pretty tasty too. They're also a good source of nutrients like potassium, vitamin C, folate, which is, folic acid, and dietary fiber. These are all nutrients that most of us don't get enough of. Potassium may help reduce our blood pressure, reduce the risk of developing kidney stones, and help decrease bone loss. Vitamin C is important for growth and repair of all body tissues. It helps us heal our cuts and wounds, and it keeps our teeth and gums very healthy. Folate, again, that folic acid, helps in the formation of our red blood cells. The nutrients in fruit, like the ones I just mentioned, can help with certain chronic conditions. According to the USDA, they may help reduce the risk of heart disease, obesity, type 2 diabetes, and some types of cancers. Despite these benefits, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention reports that 76% of Americans do not eat enough fruits each day. The daily recommendation for fruits for women over the age of 51 is 1.5 cups, and for men, it's 2 cups. So some tips to help you get that intake are: make 1/4 of your plate fruit at every meal, have fruit as a snack or as your dessert, and choose whole or cut fruits rather than fruit juices to get the most benefits. Have cut up fruits within easy reach and sight in the refrigerator. And various fruits differ in nutrient content, so aim for a variety of colors. All right. So, what do you think, Carrie? Are you following these My Plate guidelines?
No, I'm thinking this is like, okay, there's room for improvement. I don't know about you, but love to grab some of the things that you're seeing there actually on this particular slide, like blueberries and raspberries, and those are just such great snacks. And we were just having this conversation here, that it would be nice when we get back to like watermelon season and things like that, because it really is such a pleasant thing. But I was thinking as you were going through this, like, wow, there's room for improvement here.
Well, and I agree with you, Carrie. I am the same situation as you. One thing I do is every single morning I incorporate. I'm an oatmeal eater, so I always incorporate. I like to put blackberries, raspberries, and my blueberries in my oatmeal every morning. So that is a definite for me. I always get those fruits, but there's only so much you can put into one bowl of oatmeal. So the rest of the day, though, I'm fruitless. So I've got to. That's why I love these series. It really is just a good reminder to like prompt us to do better. So, all right. So our vegetables have some of the same benefits as the fruit. They also come in a variety of forms: raw or cooked, fresh, frozen, canned, or dried, and whole, cut up, or mashed. And they can be organized into 5 different subgroups, each with their own benefits: dark green vegetables, starchy vegetables, red and orange vegetables, beans and peas, and other vegetables. They're naturally low in fat, sodium, calories, and they are all cholesterol free. So, in addition to being high in the same nutrients as fruit, your potassium, your vitamin C, your folate, and your dietary fiber, they're also high in vitamin A. Vitamin A keeps your eyes and your skin healthy and also keeps protein from infection, or I'm sorry, protects us from infections. And dietary fiber may help reduce cholesterol levels and to keep your heart and your blood vessels healthy and support proper bowel functions. A diet rich in vegetables and fruits may reduce your risk of heart disease, protect against certain types of cancer, and prevent obesity, according to the USDA. Like fruits, many Americans don't get enough vegetables. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, 87% of Americans do not eat enough vegetables. It's recommended that women over age 51 eat 2 cups of vegetables per day, and men should eat 2.5 cups. Some tips for consuming the amounts include: so you want to choose fresh vegetables, of course, when in season, just like you mentioned with the watermelon, it's always better when it's in season, and stock up on your frozen vegetables for quick and easy cooking. If you buy canned vegetables, look for those labeled reduced sodium, low sodium, or no salt added. Buy easy to prepare vegetables like pre-washed salad kits or packages of veggie snacks with baby carrots or celery sticks for a quick snack. Again, a variety of colors is good for getting a variety of nutrients, but it can also help in keeping you from getting bored. And you want to watch what you're adding to your vegetables. If you're adding a lot of butter and a lot of salt, you may actually be undoing all of the benefits of the vegetables. All right. So what do you think about the vegetables, Carrie? Are you better with the vegetables than the fruits, or?
I think as a general rule, probably yes, but there's still always room for improvement. I keep thinking like when we were kids, parents were always saying, you got to eat your vegetables. And as kids, had very little interest in it. But I do find that now I have a whole different appreciation for it, not only just because of the health aspects, but really because they're flavorful in a way that we probably didn't appreciate as much when we were kids.
Right. No, I agree. And I will say I am definitely a better vegetable eater than I am a fruit eater, which seems kind of crazy, but I always enjoy my vegetables. And I've come as I get older, I really don't buy canned vegetables anymore. I really enjoy, I like to buy whole fruit, fresh vegetables. And then like they said in the presentation, the frozen, because if you don't have it on hand, it's nice to have a backup in the freezer. But I really do try to buy the fresh vegetables. So hopefully there's a benefit. Well, definitely there's a benefit there. So, but I think a lot of Americans, a lot of people, and I've tried to get better at this, but it is easy to season up to try to flavor those vegetables, whether it's in a casserole or a lot of extra salt. So it's, again, just this is a great reminder to try not to do that so much. Try to keep it, as natural, I think, as you can, to reap the most of those benefits. All right, so we're moving on to whole grains. And I think we hear a lot more about whole grains than we did. Like I know when I was growing up, I mean, I think a lot of us already know that there's definitely a lot of benefit with the whole grains, but let's hear more. So we're going to move into the whole grains, foods made from wheat, rice, oats, cornmeal, barley, or another cereal grain. These are all considered grains. And according to the USDA, whole grains also have a lot of health benefits. They're a good source of fiber, B vitamins, which help the body release energy from fat, protein, and carbohydrates. And they also help in the health of the nervous system. And you have also got your minerals. These may help reduce cholesterol levels and lower the risk of heart disease, obesity, and type 2 diabetes. And most are a good source of fiber. So they can help with the digestion in that they may reduce constipation. According to the Harvard School of Public Health, whole grains offer a complete package of health benefits. All whole grain kernels contain 3 parts: the brain, the germ, and the endosperm. And each of these parts helps boost helps boost your health prompting nutrients. So the brain, or I'm sorry, I'm saying that wrong. The bran is the outer layer that is rich in fiber and contains your B vitamins like your iron, your copper, your zinc, your magnesium, your antioxidants, and your phytochemicals, which are your natural chemical compounds that are believed to play a role in disease prevention. And then the germ is the core of the seed that is rich in healthy fats, vitamin E, your B vitamins, your antioxidants, and your phytochemicals. And then the endosperm is the innermost layer that contains your carbohydrates, your protein, and your small amounts of B vitamins and some minerals. So in the late 19th century, industrialized roller mills were invented, which changed the way that grain was processed. They stripped away the bran and the germ, leaving only the endosperm. This resulted in a highly processed grain with a much lower nutritional profile. The Harvard School of Public Health reports that the process strips away more than half of wheat's B vitamins, 90% of the vitamin E, and virtually all of the fiber. This is why it's so important to choose 100% whole grains over refined grains. And that's actually all new information that I had never, heard before. So I think that's kind of interesting. And I think there's been a resurgence over the last few years of, making sure that we're getting our whole grains versus these processed grains that I think we had for so many years. I think more of that was offered to us, just in your normal shopping at the grocery store. Then I think nowadays we're much more in tune with making sure we're eating our whole grains, which I think is really good. So the refined grains are not just stripped of nutrients, they are also digested quickly, leading to a sharp spike in your blood sugar. Refined grains include your white rice, your bread, and your pasta, and your processed breakfast cereals. The Harvard School of Public Health reports that refined grains may increase your risk of weight gain, overeating, heart disease, and diabetes. Whole grains, on the other hand, are digested more slowly. The Harvard School of Public Health says that they may help keep your insulin and your blood sugar levels steady. They help you feel full longer, and they prevent your weight gain, and they help ward off diseases. So some examples of whole grains are whole wheat flour, your bulgur, which is your cracked wheat, your oatmeal, your cornmeal, and your brown rice. Examples of some refined grains include white flour, degermed cornmeal, white bread, and white rice. So I guess really we want to stay away from the refined and kind of definitely eat more of the whole. So maybe you've seen the term enriched. So enriched on-grain products like cereal or bread, this enriching means that some B vitamins and iron are added back into the processing or back after the processing. However, the fiber is not added back in. So I guess you're not getting that fiber that is pretty important. Women over age 51 should eat 5 ounces of grains per day, and men should eat 6 ounces. At least half of those grains should be whole grains. So, regardless of whether you are male or female, at least 3 ounces of your grains should be in the whole grains. One slice of bread, 1 cup of ready to eat cereal, or a half a cup of cooked rice, pasta, or cooked cereal is considered 1 ounce. That kind of gives you a nice frame or reference there. Um, some other tips to help you get your daily recommendation for grains include: choose grain products like cereals, breads, rice, and pasta that are 100% whole grain instead of refined grains. Also, popcorn is a whole grain and can be a healthy snack if made with little or no added salt and butter. And check the ingredient list. Look for items that list one of the following first on the ingredient list. So brown rice, buckwheat, oatmeal, rolled oats, whole wheat, whole rye, whole grain barley, quinoa, millet, and bulgur. Those are all good ingredients that you want to look for. So Carrie, what about you? Are you eating the whole grains, or are you eating refined, or have you even looked at that at this point?
I was thinking about this again because as a kid growing up, a healthy, conscious parents would tell us, oh, you should have oat bread or something other, than simple white bread or something like that. And it's interesting. It's sort of the same thing with the vegetables. As a kid, that didn't really make a whole lot of sense. Didn't quote taste as good. But there is something now, like you get a really good whole grain bread, of fresh whole grain bread. That is really truly delicious. So I guess the thought process is it's nice to know that something that tastes good actually in that case could be very good for you as well.
Right? No, I agree with you. And I have to, looking back on my childhood, I just don't remember the whole grains. And maybe I didn't live in a healthy, conscious household. I'm not sure, but I just don't remember the whole grain, the emphasis on whole grains at all. I mean, we always just had white bread in the house. We had white rice. And so I love that we, as a whole, our country or our communities are really, and just going to the grocery store these days, we have so many, I think, healthier choices at the grocery than what we did back then. So I love that the emphasis is on the health, eating the right foods.
Right.
So I think that's really great. So I try to do that these days. All right, next we're going to talk about our proteins. So food made from meat, poultry, seafood, beans, peas, eggs, processed soy products, nuts, and seeds are part of the protein group. According to the USDA, proteins are the building blocks for our bones, our muscles, cartilage, skin, and blood. They are also the building blocks of hormones, enzymes, and vitamins. Proteins also provide some B vitamins. Vitamin E, which helps in the formation of our red blood cells and helps keep our immune system working and going strong. Iron, which is important for carrying oxygen in the blood. Zinc, which helps keep the immune system strong. And magnesium, which is used for building bones and releasing energy from our muscles. So, our women, of course, over age 51 should have 5 ounces of protein per day, while men over the age of 51 should have 5.5 ounces. In general, 1 ounce of meat, poultry or fish, 1/4 cup of cooked beans, 1 egg, 1 tablespoon of peanut butter, or a half an ounce of nuts or seeds can be considered as 1 ounce. When choosing proteins, there are a few things to keep in mind. Some choices from the protein group are high in saturated fat. Diets that are high in saturated fat raise our LDL levels, which is our bad cholesterol. Some examples of these are fatty cuts of beef, pork, and lamb, 75% to 85% of ground beef, sausage, hot dogs, and bacon. Other foods in the protein group, like organ meats, are high in cholesterol, so you want to limit the amount of these foods that you eat. So even though you're getting the protein, you want to be careful of, what foods you're getting your protein in. So choosing small portions of lean protein, like your poultry without the skin, your ground beef that is 92% lean, your low-fat lunch meats, your eye of round, your top sirloin, your chuck shoulder, your pork loin, and your pork tenderloin are going to be your better choices. So you want to do your best to eat fish or other seafood twice per week. Eating a variety of seafood can help prevent your heart disease, and the number one killer in men and women in the United States, of course, is heart disease. So you want to do your best to avoid that. And remember that meat isn't the only source of protein. You also can get your protein through eggs, beans, and peas, nuts and nut butter, tofu, and tempeh can provide protein as well. All right, so moving along to our dairy products. Foods that make up the dairy group are those of which are considered to be fluid milk and foods that are made from milk. These foods and drinks are typically rich in calcium. Calcium helps in building our teeth, building our bones, and maintaining our bone mass. Vitamin D, which is found in many dairy products, helps the body maintain proper levels of calcium and phosphorus, helping with bone health and lowering the risk of osteoporosis. So, the numbers that I keep talking about in this presentation, women over age 51, men over age 51, of course, that's the age group, going into, midlife to, older age. And so those, of course, are the age groups that are more susceptible to some of these things. So that's why it's so important to really, pay attention to this. We don't want to go into our senior years with osteoporosis or any of those diseases that could weaken us as we grow older. We all want to be strong and continue to stay strong, and we definitely can with following these types of guidelines. But according to the USDA, some dairy products like your yogurt, your fluid milk, and your soy milk provide potassium, which may help in maintaining our healthy blood pressure. An intake of dairy products is also associated with a reduced risk of cardiovascular disease and type 2 diabetes. Both men and women over the age of 51 should have 3 cups of dairy per day. But here's one big thing to keep in mind. Full fat dairy products, which is your whole milk yogurt, your ice cream, are high in saturated fat. So you, of course, want to choose low fat. So that would be 1% milk, 1% milk fat yogurt, and non-fat, skim milk and non-fat yogurt. These are going to give you the nutrients you need, but without the added fat, cholesterol, and extra calories. So, the next time you're at the grocery store, just, instead of picking up that whole milk, try to, and if you're not ready to go to skim or 1%, at least come down to 2% and maybe try to go, get used to that and then just come down a little bit. I grew up on 2% milk. We were never a whole milk drinking family. It was 2%, but I a long time ago switched to skim milk, and that's what I like now. So it's kind of become my go-to milk. So it's good to hear I'm doing something better that's better for me. So, all right. Moving on from dairy products, just some additional tips and tricks. So focusing on the 5 food groups we just discussed is only part of the equation. It's also important to follow some general healthy eating tips and tricks. First, avoid portion pitfalls. And I'm going to be the first to say that is my biggest downfall. I love food, so I think I eat probably way too big of portions. But let's see what we have to say about that. So this probably isn't too surprising to many of you, but portion sizes are growing. According to the National Heart, Lung, and Blood Institute, food portions in America's restaurants have doubled or tripled over the last 20 years. To help keep your portions a healthy size, there are a few things you can do. Measure your foods with measuring cups, spoons, and scales. Use smaller dishes like a salad plate instead of a dinner plate. And make your own single serving packs by reportioning foods that come in large servings, like your nuts and your chips and your cereal, and to individual portions in bags or small storage containers. It's also important to listen to your body's hunger cues. So do your best to stop eating when you feel about 80% full. Next, you want to limit your added sugar, salt, and fat. So these are found in food like cakes and cookies and ice cream, candies, sweetened drinks, pizza, and fatty meats like ribs, sausage, bacon, and hot dogs. Use these foods as occasional treats, but not everyday foods. Being a smart supermarket shopper can also help because a lot of the food we eat comes from the grocery store. So here are some smart shopping tips. Try to plan out a weekly menu. Write down everything that you need on a list and stick to it. Avoid shopping hungry, which I am so guilty of. That's probably what gets me to the grocery store, and that is, I know, the worst time to shop. When you're hungry, you walk. You want to buy all of the tasty, convenient junk food that you see. And again, I'm guilty of that. Only use coupons for items you were planning to buy anyways. So don't get tricked into buying something that isn't part of a healthy plate because you may be able to save money on it. So definitely, if you're a coupon cutter, which I used to be, I haven't been so much these days, but definitely, when you're going through your choosing your coupons, just choose the ones that are going to be healthy choices for you. So it's not all about saving money. It's about, just of course, continue to make the healthy choices. Another thing you can do at the supermarket is limit your processed foods when possible. Processed foods generally contain higher amounts of fat, salt, and sugar than your whole foods or your homemade versions. Take your time and read your labels, looking for the options with the fewest ingredients and a good nutrition profile. Shy away from foods that contain artificial ingredients or ingredients that you can't pronounce. Lastly, make good choices when dining out. Restaurants tend to serve large portions, and dining out may lead to a higher intake of calories, sugar, saturated fat, and sodium. So here are some tips for eating healthy while away from home. Start your meal with a salad that has a lot of vegetables. Choose dishes that are steamed, broiled, baked, roasted, or grilled. These are healthier choices than those which are fried or sauteed. Don't be afraid to ask for special preparation of a food. Ask your server to put half in a box for leftovers the next day. So those are all really great options. Do you follow any of these guidelines, Carrie, in your household?
Well, like we always talk about, most of these things are really good advice and good tips. And that's why it's so good that we do these series, because it reminds you oftentimes of things you already know, but have an opportunity to do a whole lot better. For example, and specifically, I was thinking about when you were talking a moment ago about portion pitfalls. I think that's one of the most challenging things. If you enjoy your food, you're always happy to have a nice big portion, but then afterwards, but I've noticed this, those times when I do, I guess I would say, use portion control, at
Mhm.
the end of the day, it's a much more pleasant meal experience because you don't go away feeling bloated and like, wow, I shouldn't have. You remember the commercial, I can't believe I ate the whole thing? You don't have that feeling.
Exactly. Yeah. And I have tried, like I mentioned earlier, I'm pretty good about, being in, the produce section. Like I like to buy whole vegetables or the fruits and the vegetables. I really don't buy very many canned foods anymore. So I feel like that's a plus, but I do tend to probably eat more than I should in a serving. So the hints that the things that they're offering is, use smaller plates. Those are just definitely good things that I need to get better at, because I think that would definitely make a difference.
Yeah.
So there's still always things that are good takeaways from these types of presentations. All right, so let's talk about building our 5-star plate. Let's try to figure out how many stars this breakfast deserves. The meal on the left is a delicious country style breakfast: 2 eggs, sunny side up, 4 pieces of bacon. Let's see, 4 pieces of bacon, a piece of whole wheat toast and butter, and a cup of coffee with cream and sugar. How many stars would you give this plate? So I guess we have to think about, so 1 star has 1 food group, 2 stars has 2 food groups, 3 stars has 3 food groups, and of course 4 stars, 4, and 5, 5.
Yeah.
So let's see. So the plate, well, let's just talk about it. So the answer would be the plate earns just 2 stars. You get 1 star for the egg. It fits into the protein group, and then we can give 1 more star for the slice of toast. It is whole wheat, so it's giving us some heart healthy fiber. But unfortunately, the butter isn't doing us any favors, and the bacon, although it can give us some protein. It's loaded with that saturated fat that, of course, we want to try to stay away from. And it's also got cholesterol and sodium. While the coffee is not a bad choice, it's not one of our 5 food groups. The cream in it means we've got saturated fat and cholesterol. The sugar in it is not doing our health much good either. So we can give this meal just 2 stars and recognize that there is certainly room for improvement. Now let's look at another meal. Let's see. Well, and here's our breakfast. So okay. So this is the one we just talked about, our eggs and our bacon and our toast, which doesn't seem, like it would be that bad for us. But again, it's just a 2-star rating. So now we're going to look at the one on the right. Um, we can give this meal so this one is made up of whole grain toast topped with sliced avocado and an egg. There's also a fruit smoothie on the side made with low fat milk, blueberries, a handful of spinach, and a pinch of flaxseed. So how many stars would we give this meal? And what makes this breakfast so healthy? Well, of course, this meal is going to get 5 stars. This breakfast includes each of the food groups that we've talked about, your fruits, which you get from your berries and your avocado, your vegetables, you get your spinach, your whole grains would be your toast, your protein would be your egg, and your dairy would be low fat milk. Would anyone like to share any other ideas for making a 5-star breakfast plate? And I'll just throw that at you, Carrie.
Well, if you think about it and you see it kind of side by side like this, it's kind of interesting because the breakfast on the right would leave you feeling full of energy and feeling really good as you go through the day. And the other breakfast would be like, we always joke about after you have your Thanksgiving meal, it's like, okay, that was great. Now it's time to go back and take a nap. And I think that's the key is like what you're talking about when you explain these, the different stars, the star system is that by balancing all that out, it's actually going to have a much better health effect for us in the long run.
Right. Nope, I agree. And frankly, like I would enjoy the meal on the left. I think, I like eggs, I love bacon, and I like my coffee every morning. But the one on the right, I love all of those. I mean, I love avocados and all of that as well. Now I will say I've not been very good about making those smoothies, which I know a lot of people are good about those, but that looks delicious. I could definitely enjoy that. So
That's good.
all right. Next thing we're going to do is talk about our lunch. So we're going to look at some lunch plates. First up, we've got our cheeseburger made with ground chuck with lettuce, tomato, and onions on a white bun. As a side, there's some French fries, and to drink, we have a soda. So, what kind of a star rating do you think on this one, Carrie?
Well, we're definitely in the low end of it again.
Yep.
I would go 2. I don't know.
Okay, it's actually just a 1-star meal, which I would say though, I would say a big chunk of people would go with this type of meal most every day. This is a very common lunch choice, but it actually just gets 1 star. And so that 1 star, you get that for the vegetables on the burger. So whatever the tomatoes and the onions, that gives you your 1 star. While the plate technically has dairy products and protein represented, neither one fits in as a healthy option. The burger is made of chuck. It's not lean ground beef. And I don't know if we always know those answers. If we've got, I mean, some of our healthier restaurant options or, they might say that on the menu. So I guess you need to get to know those places that offer that. But that's, obviously that's what we want to go for. The cheese is not low fat, so that's not a good option. While the veggies on the burger aren't much, they still are better than no veggies at all. So I guess if you're gonna splurge or you're gonna, I don't know, cheat and get something like this, fast food, always ask for the lettuce and the tomato and the onions. That's gonna give you a little bit of help, you know, nutrients for your body. So then let's look at our other option. The next lunch plate is a quinoa bowl loaded with healthy stuff like sweet potatoes, beets, avocado, chickpeas, kale, and cabbage. It also has olive oil based dressing and water on the side. That's another thing we haven't talked about in this presentation is the water, how important it is to drink as much water as you can through the day. So this is our first mention of water, but that's always a good reminder. Drink plenty of water through the day. but this is actually considered a 4-star lunch. So we've got all the food groups covered. We've got the quinoa, it gets a point on the protein and the whole grains, and the chickpeas also add protein to the meal. There's no shortage of vegetables here with our sweet potatoes, our kale, our cabbage, our beets, all represented. And then finally, the avocado gives us some fruit. And I'm going to, I guess, throw out a dumb comment right there. I don't know that I realized, and they mentioned it earlier, that avocado is a fruit and not a vegetable. Did you know that, Carrie?
Did not know. Did
Okay,
not.
so avocado, and I actually love avocado, but that is a food or a fruit representation. So that's something good to know. The only thing that's missing is some low-fat dairy. That could easily be added to this meal with some low-fat Parmesan cheese or a small container of yogurt on the side. So there you go. There's 2 good food options. And I will say that if I was going out to lunch with a friend, I would definitely, my first inclination would be to go, I would order the meal on the right. I enjoy all those foods. So that's good. All right, lunch, or I'm sorry, we talked about lunch. Now let's talk about dinner. All right. So the first dinner plate consists of an 8-ounce ribeye, some potato wedges, and 12 ounces of beer. How many stars do you think this plate would earn?
Maybe 1. I don't know.
Got it, Carrie. Good job. You're getting really good at this. Yes. So it's a 1-star plate. The potato wedges count towards the vegetable group, but there's no other food group properly represented here. Now, you would think you're getting your protein with your steak, but I'm sure we're going to find out that it's not, it's not the right protein. So much like the cheeseburger in our previous example, the ribeye is the protein, but its size and saturated fat content do not make it an ideal option. So it's too large, and it's just got that, saturated fat. The next dinner plate consists of about 4 ounces of roasted turkey, represented. You also have some kale, some avocado, and cucumbers, and some quinoa and barley with a small glass of wine on the side. So what rating would you give this plate?
Well, that is looking like it's going to be 4 or 5 star, right? Well, you don't have the dairy.
Right. So I guess that's why it's a 4-star plate. So, but that's not bad. So it's okay to have a 4-star plate. So we've got almost all the food groups represented. We've got fruits in the avocado and the cucumbers, and a little of the wine since it's made of grapes, which I didn't know they would give us that, but that's good to know. You get some fruit there. Vegetables in the kale and the whole grains in the barley and the quinoa, and protein in the turkey and the quinoa. So similar to our previous example, we're just missing some low-fat dairy. So you've got a good eye for this now, Carrie. A small glass of low-fat milk or a few cubes of low-fat cheese would solve that problem. And so there you go. There's a nice, healthy option, which that looks delicious to me. I actually could eat either one, but I know now for sure going to the restaurant for lunch or dinner, the right direction.
Yeah, well, it's like, you're right. You could eat either one, but at least now you know which one you're supposed to be eating. And so that's
right, exactly.
That's a good step in the right direction just by that, I think.
Right. And I'll say with COVID, with my, in my job, I spend a lot more time at home than I used to, which I think a lot of people are in that situation. So I'm not going out as often to restaurants for lunches like I used to. So so my healthy choices are coming more at the grocery store than, out at the restaurants. But definitely this is a great reminder just, to shop right and, make those healthy choices. And same thing when you're just ordering off the menu when I am actually out at a restaurant. So, all right. So now we're going to just do a quick little review. So building a healthy plate may sometimes seem hard, but it doesn't have to be. Today, we learned about the 5 food groups that make up a healthy plate per the USDA recommendations. You got your fruits, your vegetables, your grains, your lean proteins, and your dairy. We also talked about how to make healthy choices within each of these 5 groups. For example, choosing whole grains over refined grains and opting for non-meat sources of protein instead of meat sources. In addition, we discussed some general best practices for a nutritious and healthy diet, such as balancing or practicing through portion control, which I'm just going to say again, that is my biggest problem. So I've really got to work on that. Listening to our body's hunger cues and shopping smart at the supermarkets. And lastly, we took a look at some real examples of good and not so good meals with your breakfast, your lunch, and your dinner, and learned how small changes can make a big difference. So I think that's great information. I actually enjoyed this presentation because, like we always say, it's just good reminders, things that I need to really, make sure I'm putting into practice.
Yeah, and especially as we're still at sort of the start of the new year and wanting to do good with our New Year's resolutions. And, for most of us, eating healthy and getting healthier is usually at the top of those lists. So this is just perfect timing for all of this. So thank you for sharing all of this.
Well, you're very welcome.
So, well, every other Friday, we take some time with Vicki to go over the art of healthy living. And it's this great series that you bring to us every other Friday, helping us to establish some good life tips, I guess. They're just good things to know. And again, if you want to catch up on some of the great episodes that we've had the privilege of going through previously, I want to encourage you to check them out at helpingseniorsofbrevard.org, helpingseniorsofbrevard.org. You can find them on our YouTube channel. You can also find them on our Facebook page, but just great information on a whole plethora of topics, Vicki, that you've done such a great job of pulling together on all those fronts.
Well, thanks, Carrie. It's always a pleasure to be here. And I love sharing good information with our viewers.
So before we leave today, let's make sure people they may have come up with a question. They may have something that piqued their interest that they want to ask you about, or maybe just because you are like a real super expert on all things Medicare because of what you do with CarePlus and Humana, maybe somebody wants to give you a call. What's the best way for them to get in touch with you again?
So there's two numbers that you can reach me through. The first is 321-272-0218. And I'm going to say that one again, 321-272-0218. And then the second number that I can also be reached at would be 502-777-6277. And I'll give that again, 502-777-6277.
No, it's good. And take advantage of all this good information that Vicki has taken the time to pull together for us. We will be back every Tuesday and every Friday is what we're doing with Helping Seniors Updates. If you ever want to go back and see some of the good information that's already there, you can just go to helpingseniorsupdate.com, helpingseniorsupdates.com. And you will find all of our Helping Seniors Updates are listed there. We'll be back on Tuesday with our next Helping Seniors Update. And of course, a week from Friday, we'll be back with our next edition of The Art of Healthy Living. So until then, hope you will take all the required, COVID precautions. We have made it this far. Vaccines are happening for people, and it's all happening here in the first part of 2021. Taking good steps to get all that behind us, but let's not lose it in the turn. Let's make sure we keep all our precautions going until they tell us it's safe to move forward from those. It's kept us safe this far. Let's keep at it. Safe is good. So on behalf of Joe Steckler, our president and founder, Kim Bernard, our education specialist, and thank you, Vicki Moore, who is our Art of Living health specialist. Thanks for joining us for today, and we'll see you next time on Helping Seniors Update.